So talking about Dallas Turner, you went back and looked at, and I'm going to assume all of this is true because I read it in your article here. What the Vikings ended up actually giving up for Dallas Turner. When you look at the Houston Texans trade, and we had this discussion, like, did the Vikings go in and say, hey, we know we're going to give up all this draft capital for J.J. McCarthy, and we didn't have to do that, so let's just use it on Dallas Turner. Who cares? But at the end of the day, to get Dallas Turner, including the trade with the Houston Texans and then with the Jags on draft night, 2024 second, a 2024 fifth, and a sixth, and then a 2025 second, third, and fourth. We're talking 6 draft picks, including 2 seconds for Dallas Turner to essentially move up from 23, which they got to 23 with some of these picks, and then to move up to 17. That's a pretty big haul for Dallas Turner, and I think you ended up on the similar page with us. Like, he's a good player, but maybe not that top 10 caliber player that he was hyped as.
Right, because just try to imagine a player coming off his rookie year getting traded for that haul. Like, how good would he have to be? Okay, you played and you saw that, like, maybe Will Anderson is good enough right now that you would say, I would trade 2 seconds, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth for Will Anderson. Even that seems kind of crazy to me, but that's after a top 5 pick who you already saw can play at a pretty high level. You have that, like, certainty to who he is. It always strikes me as a little crazy. And I think the Rams and the Eagles and some teams have taken advantage of this, that just, like, how much, how less willing teams are to give up picks for actual players that they know are good versus, just opening the mystery box here with the draft pick. And I get that there's contract situation and there's 4 years of the contract and there's all that is part of it. But still, it seems like knowing a player is good, you would be more willing to give up some draft assets.
I mean, I was against the Will Anderson trade. I called the Will Anderson trade very risky. With the knowledge, I think Will Anderson was a way better prospect than Dallas Turner. I thought he was Aiden Hutchinson, in that, not like just a smidge below the Boses and Garrett or whatever. Like, I loved Will Anderson, top 3 type of player, fine with where he got drafted. But then when you even go back to who the Texans could have had in those spots, it's still tough to actually put the scale and have it balanced, right? If it's, it could have been a Christian Gonzalez, who you could say 1-for-1 might be as good as Will Anderson or as valuable as Will Anderson. Even, like, I'd take Anderson, but it's Christian Gonzalez. It's a Sam Laporta was picked right after their pick. And then this year, Darius Robinson. Who knows what Darius Robinson is, but you're literally talking about 3 players I like the way you put it together, Greg. We've seen Will Anderson. How would you do it after 1 year versus the mystery box of Dallas Turner? I just thought that was a big investment. Vikings was still one of the more fascinating teams with the way they've built their team.
Well, and they admitted it in the press conference. What you said is, like, what was the actual process? Like, they admitted they had the picks. Yeah. They were trying to get up for a quarterback. We can surmise it was Drake May based on the reporting. They didn't get it, and then they did think, well, we really love Turner. He's a top defensive guy on our board, and maybe I believe that, like, because they probably wouldn't have made the trade if he really wasn't that high. But you could have stuck at, where were they, 23, and taken Terry on. You could have taken any cornerback you wanted in the draft right there. Like, and they need a cornerback. So it just seems a little crazy. The odds are like 50-50 that Dallas Turner is any better than whoever they were going to take at 23.
Yeah. That's the thing about, I agree. Like, he probably was a top 10 player on their board. I think he's a great fit. Dallas Turner and his athleticism, his pass rush potential, his ability to drop into coverage, the way Brian Flores is going to use him. I think the fit is great, but I have a working theory about the teams overvaluing fit. Like, just not only because there's so much that's been written about how much teams, when they trade up, is it actually worth it? But I think the impetus is for that. Like, when you hear the Rams talking about Braden Fisk, they were just like, we need Braden Fisk. Like, we need him with Jared Verse. We're willing to give up 2 second-rounders, basically, to just move. We're moving up 13 spots for Braden Fisk. So teams and they may have loved the fit for Dallas Turner in Minnesota. It's just so tough when you look at, like, you could have 4 or 5 other players maybe, or just 2 other players at premium spots. You talked a little bit about the Rams and the Fisk move. It was 13 spots they gave up a second-round pick. Like, if someone offered that to me, I'm just like, you serious? Of course I'm taking that. I'll drop 13 spots for an extra 2.